everybody. Welcome back. And we have today's first guest. Now, he's an author, and this is his brand new book. It's called Home Before Dark. Please welcome Dr. David Treadway. Hello, David. Welcome. Now, your story is a very interesting one. In the book, it's about what happened to you in your life. Mm-hmm. And you were diagnosed with cancer, and they actually told him that he had a 25% chance of living. And what he did was, after he made it through his ordeal, and he's in remission now, him and his family put this book together, and it's a list of how, from their perspective, what they were going through. And David, did I get it right?
You got it just right. It's really not a story about cancer so much as it's a story about the four of us as a family. Mm-hmm. I'm not the only author. I happen to be here tonight, but the four authors mm-hmm. are my wife, Kate, a physician, yep. my son, Michael, and my son, Sam, who was just a college kid at the time that I mm-hmm. Got really sick. So what we wanted to do is try and show what happens to different family members in different ages and stages mm-hmm. when it looks like one family member is likely to die.
Right.
I was, as you could tell, I was likely to die.
Well, we're happy that you stuck around.
I'm really happy to be here. That means something special for me.
But so you've seen it all now. I mean, you've been at a situation where you thought it could be over for you, uh-huh. and you're sitting here now and we're talking about your book. Has anyone read the book yet that has been through the same ordeal as you, and have they commented to you about the book?
Actually, that's really the heart of why we wrote this book, which was to reach out to other families going through this ordeal. I went to a cancer support group and worked with a lot of other cancer survivors and people who have read this book and have seen themselves in it. You know, my son Sam had a kind of, I'm not going to worry about this stuff attitude, you know, sort of a teenage boy attitude. Mm-hmm. Lots of people identify with that. My wife, Kate, a physician, had a very different attitude because she'd seen many people die of what I had.
Right.
So she was acutely afraid. So we were all over the place. And the thing that has actually touched me the most about people reading our book is people who have lost family members to cancer mm-hmm. still can see themselves in our story. We have a miracle ending mm-hmm. That I'm incredibly grateful for, and so are my wife and kids. Mm-hmm. Lots of people don't get that ending.
Right.
And yet we're all families struggling with that risk, that danger, and each of us got through it as best we could, and what we're trying to do is help other families see that there's a lot of different ways to get through this stuff, a lot of different ways to cope.
Now you were a psychologist,
yeah,
correct?
Yeah.
So you're actually, when you were diagnosed with cancer, you were still treating your patients.
Yes, although the opening lines of my therapy hours were different. Usually I asked people, how are you? They were looking at me saying, how are you? Because I was really looking sick.
Let me ask you now, did you give them money because they were helping you out?
Well, that's close. That's close. People would say, how can we talk about our problems, you know, money problems or whatever problems they had when you're so obviously sick? Mm-hmm. And what actually people came to appreciate is it did matter to me to be able to get involved in their lives, stop thinking about myself, stop sitting up in my bedroom looking out the window and wondering, is this my last July? Mm-hmm. You know, I was actually able to help people in my practice, and it really helped me.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you now, how did you come up with the idea of writing the book? Whose idea was it?
Well, I get the blame for that. You know, actually, I've written quite a bit about my own history before. And my older son and I wrote a short piece together about him visiting me in the hospital bed when I was really dying mm-hmm. and reading a letter to me. And we published that story of him reading that letter in a magazine. And the next thing I knew, people from all over the world were really touched by my son's efforts to reach out to me when mm-hmm. I was actually dying at that point. And so the idea that maybe we could write something as a family that other families might find helpful or useful was really important. But Steve, the other reason why we did this was, and it's right in the title, Home Before Dark. Mm-hmm. I didn't expect to make it, and I wanted to help my family go through whatever we were going to go through as well as we could before my funeral.
Right.
You know, and us writing together, putting down our feelings about what was going on was a way for us to stay close and connected through the process. Mm-hmm. I think one of the most powerful things that happened was the first time we all brought our writing out mm-hmm. to share with each other. All of us were nervous, like you know, middle school kids. Yeah. You know, because we were all really exposed on the page, and we laughed, we cried, and we felt profoundly connected. And that's what we mean by that title. We were trying to build a home before dark, and the dark was going to be me leaving.
Well, it's a very tough situation. It's an eye-opening experience. Let me just ask you one thing. How do you see life now? What's the most different thing for you now that you've gone through that whole thing?
Oh, that's a really important question. When one is lucky enough to go into remission and basically be cancer-free, and this is my 5th year anniversary was this weekend, so this is really...
Oh, congratulations.
I'm really on my mind. It's hard not to have an incredibly powerful sense of gratitude and, frankly, an awareness of how undeserving I am. I mean, so many people don't make it. I was lucky enough to make it. And so I try to be appreciative in every way that I can be. And part of, people who are lucky like I am want to do something. They create road races, they create foundations. They want to do something to express their gratitude.
Exactly.
And that's one of the reasons why we ended up publishing the book, was in the hopes that it would be helpful to others and help us show our appreciation. I basically try to start each day with a feeling of gratitude for each morning, with a pretty acute awareness of how precious it is. When you get that close to losing your life, the preciousness of life itself is great. I'll tell you a quick story. I was waiting for a PET scan with a guy who really was a tough-looking guy.
Yeah.
He looked like a mafia guy from the North End, frankly. and I was trying to be friendly, so I said to the guy, as I was called first, I said, "So, have a good day." And he looks at me with a scowl and he says, "Any day above ground is a good day."
I agree with him.
Hey, look, I'm the psychologist. That was the smartest thing I've ever heard.
Did you put that in the book?
Yeah, that's in the book. I hope the guy doesn't read it, but
Dr. Treadway, where can someone find your book online? You have a website?
Our website is homebeforedarkbook.com, and it's actually a good way of getting to know this story and getting to know us. You can see us in a little video and that kind of thing.
That's great.
And some people will look at the website and not need to read the book; they'll just feel fine about what they saw. But it's all over. It's in the bookstores, Barnes and Noble, and it's on Amazon.com. So it's out there. And people are responding really well so far.
Well, you've had a great experience, and thank you for giving back. Folks, the book is called Home Before Dark. This was Dr. David Treadway. We'll be right back right after this. Thank you.